Welcome to Real Life and Archetypes. My name is Marina. This is part 8 of the Christian Craighead series, archetypal exploration of his interview on the Shawn Ryan Show, an interview that I really love. So we're going to go into an interesting part here, which is Christian Craighead's spirituality and connection with God and the things that are mysterious in life. Very interesting. Let's go.
Yeah.
Was that the first time in your life that you had really felt that close to God?
Yes, it's one of
Like he
one
was
of the,
right
yeah,
there?
Yeah.
So 2 first experiences within 24 hours. Probably within less than 24 hours,
Yeah.
correct?
Well, within 4 hours.
Within 4
4 or
hours
5
of each
hours,
other,
yeah.
you had taken another man's life for the first time and felt the presence of God
Well,
extremely close to you.
extremely close. I think I felt the presence of God before that.
Do you think that's a coincidence?
No.
Why do you think that happened at that point in time?
I think it was part. It's all part of it's the, like, every time I move away from faith, I get pulled back in. So.
That reminds me of The Godfather every time. When I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Lots of important things that he says here. So he started to say it's all part of, and I think he stopped himself. And I'm going to speculate as to why, because they're talking about some very strange things that happened to him. This is, one side of it is the belief, faith, religion. He's a very religious person. And there's another part, which is the spirit, the things that we feel and perceive. Those things are incredibly subjective. That's why it's so difficult to talk about it. And from my perspective, and this is the way that I look at it, this is part of an archetype, by the way, that's the one with the faith and the exploration, interpretation of life, and having an expansion of the mind and learning things. That's the seeker, the explorer. That's the one that has, that is going to have a bigger world view and bigger life experiences. And then you have the dreamer, which is the one that is going to connect you with spirit. The seeker is the one that is going to look into, for example, religious knowledge, sacred text, and things like that. The experiences that we have with spirit, and those are usually very mysterious and, again, very subjective. That's the dreamer archetype. And that archetype is huge. It has a lot of functions in life. This is the one that we're going to need to use for transitions back from experiences and back into the world to connect with the hero. They're actually connected, these two, the dreamer and the hero. Because the hero is actually the one that needs to be connected to spirit. Look at the word, to, being very spirited, having that force, spirited, in spirit, inspired. That's the highest expression of the hero. And that's when you have, cycles of experiences, you reflect on your experiences, you look for meaning, you let go, you come back and you bring something to the world. And now you're connected through the spirit. That's, the way that it's at best supposed to go. Okay. It doesn't always go like that. Most people do not go through the process of reflection and connection to the spirit, whatever that means. But it's supposed to bring you back to the world with extra motivation and more participation in the world instead of just doing things for yourself. So this guy is already, at a high level of the hero archetype, because he has, a huge motivation to fight for his country and to sacrifice his life. But at first, that's the expression of the hero. At first, it's just about, this is what I want, okay? But you can see and you can tell from his experiences that he was born for it. I mean, he had that spirit of sacrifice so young. That is really quite an extraordinary thing. I just can't get over what what he said, about those experiences that he felt. I'm glad it was me and not somebody else. So here, he's talking about experiences. You have to watch the interview. I'm going to have to watch it again, by the way. He talks about experiences where he just took a life and now he feels the presence of God. This is the kind of stuff that most people are never going to understand. But I'm sure that people who have those kinds of experiences, they're going to relate to that much more than normal people. The way that he hesitates and he starts saying it's all part of the divine orchestration, divine intervention. Those words, that's the way that I think he would have finished that, but it feels grandiose. Remember that I mentioned about this archetype that it does have components of grandiosity. And that's a negative expression. So, of course, he's very reluctant to go there because that's not how he feels it, but it sounds like that. Now, grandiosity is, to me, when you bring the spirit directly to the world as if whatever you feel, that is a connection to spirit. So for him, whatever messages that he feels he receives or interpretation of things, it's really for you. But if you go like on a crusade into the world and you're saying, well, I got the message from God and this is the message that you need to follow, that is more of the grandiosity of that archetype. Now, if you feel it very personally and it helps you navigate your life and it guides your life and it's part of the person that you're going to bring back to the world in a positive way, that's very different. That's why he's so reluctant to go there, because it really sounds like, well, that's grandiose. Well, grandiosity, it's, delusions. Some people have the grandiosity of, I want to save the world. That sounds like the hero. Well, the dreamer also has components of saving the world, of being the savior, because that's an expression of idealism and of world dreamer. The dreamer is actually world dreamer. It's going to feel the things that you would like the world to be. So there's a component of idealism and also of creativity. Some people are going to use this archetype in very creative ways because they're going to have visions, they're going to feel something. So this is such a difficult archetype to explain, but connection to spirit, what does that mean? And of course, there is a component of delusion, deception, grandiosity, but how do you discern? Well, it depends. What kind of person are you in the world? What is going on in your life? That's how you're going to discern. Because again, those things are so subjective, and having a connection to spirit and the things that he talks about, it's going to sound crazy for some people. For others, it's not going to sound so crazy because, again, some people, they have experiences and they feel things in that way. And this guy is very connected to having an experience of life with a higher meaning. And his connection with God after taking a man's life. What a statement. What a statement. What does that mean? Well, it's not for me to explain. It's just for me to tell you that this is about two archetypes that are combined here. Well, actually now three, because we have the seeker, the interpreter, right? This is the one that is going to connect with a guidance system that is applicable to real life. So for him, he's a Christian Craighead. That would be the Bible. He's a very religious man. Then you have the dreamer, which is the one that is connecting to spirit, so to mysterious things, the things that you feel, perceive. How do you feel the presence of God after taking a man's life. And now you have the third one, which is the hero who comes back and he has all of those things. That is going to elevate the sense of purpose, of idealism, of wanting to bring something back to the world, which is the end and the new beginning of the hero's journey. So I'm not going to comment on, you can judge for yourself whatever your impression is when you watch the interview about what that means to you. I'm just explaining it in terms of archetype. I have a ton of the dreamer archetype. So for me, this is like totally normal language. But he feels the presence of God. So he's not going to tell us everything that he feels or how he perceives it. But I think he was about to say, hey, this is part of the entire orchestration. Listen, when you've gone through so many things in life and you find an interpretation for it, that helps you become this person who is willing to sacrifice for others, I don't think that's delusional or bad. This is someone who really wants to do something of use, to be of service to the world. So that's my personal impression. So now we're going to go into another moment that has to do with spirituality, and he's going to tell, he tells the story in the interview about that day, what he did in Kenya, and the previous hours. He encountered someone on the way to wherever. I don't remember exactly, but that was before he heard about what was going on in the hotel. He was just driving from one place to another, and he picked up a hitchhiker, someone who was very well dressed and who goes into the car with him. You have to listen to the story, go back to the original interview. It's really amazing. And now he says, I'm going to show the clip. I just don't want to, show the whole interview here. So just go watch it. I'm going to show you the clip where he talks about when he leaves that man. The man leaves a car and he tells him, may God bless you many times over on this day, because this encounter with this man dressed in suit in the middle of nowhere in Kenya, in rural Kenya, is part of how he connects with the mysterious things of life, and especially for that day and what it meant to him, because the whole experience was otherworldly.
And it's hard to explain. It wasn't loud, but it was loud. It wasn't loud, but it was deafening.
And it's hard to explain. That's the function of the mysterious. You can't find the words. So it wasn't loud, but it was deafening. That's because now we're talking about this moment that the hitchhiker, so to speak, that was somebody who leaves the car, and he leans in through the window and tells him in this very loud voice, suddenly, that's how he feels, and he remembers it, Christian Craighead, and he says the following.
He's like, Chris, may God bless you many times this day. And then like that, his face just snapped out of it, and he's like, thank you, thanks. Back in his normal voice, normal face. And he closed the door, and I drove off. And I got about 150 yards down the road. I couldn't see him again. I think he might have just gone into a house or a hut or whatever. And I kind of thought that was odd. But 30 hours later, after the most remarkable day of my life, I came to think about it a lot more.
What happened?
Well, then, a few hours later, 5 terrorists attacked the D2 hotel complex. 5 hours there, so. But everything, not the strange thing, but traditionally I would see myself as unlucky. And if someone had said, this is going to happen on your watch, I'd normally say, well, I'm probably going to be on leave, somewhere else, not available, don't hear about it. But from the moment I dropped that man off, and he said, may God bless you many times this day, everything was perfect.
Interesting that he speaks that usually he considers himself unlucky because he wouldn't be there for a situation like that. I mean, again, this is a warrior who wants to be in action. Okay, so the situation here with that man is a really incredible story. You're going to hear stories like that for people who have that kind of experience that connects them to spirit. There's always something that is a little weird, and unless you've experienced that yourself, it's going to sound very strange. But that's the function of that spiritual stuff. It's very subjective. It's only for you. So it's great that he talks about it. And he connects it also to his beliefs, which is natural because the way that you're going to create the story of how you understand your own life is going to reinforce what you believe in. So in this case, again, he met this man, he picked him up, and he says, "May God bless you many times on this day." And it was an ominous blessing, and he remembers it feeling this very loud voice, and all of a sudden the guy was normal. So the whole thing was really surreal. So he remembers that experience in hindsight, leading him to the most incredible day of his life. And thank God he was there, to really do what he did. It's really interesting that he says, I usually, my luck, I would never be there, to face the most horrible people and to do what I need to do. You really have to be a warrior to say that. Damn. So I'm going to leave it here with the spiritual stuff. Very interesting. We're going to go in the next parts with his relationship with authority and what is happening there. But I just wanted to emphasize that the relationship with spirit and the things that we experience, a lot of people will have a reaction of saying, well, is this true? It's not true. What is it? Maybe he imagined, maybe this. The way that I experience that, it doesn't matter. It's what you feel that matters. It's what you feel that this is all telling you that actually matters. It's not about trying to explain rationally or scientifically those experiences. That's the whole point of connection to spirit. Again, that's why I call it highly subjective. It's just for you, because anyway, nobody can prove or demonstrate. It's a question of faith, or it's a question of what you feel. So I'm just going to leave it there. And the next time we'll go into authority and what happens, what's going on with that archetype in him again. Because like I said, we've been exploring his background, and now we're going to see how that relates to his current life. And then I'm thinking, his relationship with spirit and the God is something that isn't new. I haven't mentioned that, but in the interview, he does mention as a child going to a church when his grandmother was very ill and dying in the hospital. So he's had moments of connection with spirit, and now when he's older, he's like connecting all the dots, and he enhances that interpretation with mysterious events that really connect him very subjectively, through what he feels to spirit. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.